Hey everyone, happy Sunday. I am still geeking out over the New York International Antiquarian Book Fair. If you didn't see the last video, I attended the book fair for the first time. It's been on my bucket list forever, and I finally got to attend. And it was an extraordinary event, and I do not use that word lightly. It was incredible. If you are a book lover, it is a must-do. This was strictly a window shopping moment for the rumpus, but it didn't cost anything to look or touch, so I got my money's worth. And I also got a whole bunch of swag and catalogs, so I thought I would show you what I picked up. And the crazy thing is, these catalogs are so high quality. I mean, it's as nice as any art book you would pick up, like a coffee table book, and most of them are made exclusively for the event. I mean, look at that. That's just beautiful. So I thought I would go through some of these and just show you some highlights. There were a lot of books that I wasn't able to film because my battery died. There was a copy of Breakfast at Tiffany's that had over 1,000 diamonds on it. I mean, just insane things. Oh, you like sprayed edges? This can be yours for $4,750. It's from 1572. Ace has been sleeping all day long, and he chooses now to play with his loudest toy. Seriously? Oh, this is one that I filmed. In fact, they opened the case, and I was like, oh, that's okay, that's okay. I was scared to get too close to it. But it's called Peep Show on Printed Waste. And that's priced at $2,250. A seemingly unrecorded set of 22 engravings of idealized landscapes, beautifully hand-colored and highlighted in gold, unsigned but likely executed in the Low Countries at the beginning of the 17th century. It's priced at $10,750. Just on an eye candy level, this is my favorite catalog from the day. This is from Biblio Octopus. How cool is that? A little bookish humor. They have a first edition copy of Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. A first edition, Fine and a Fine Dust Jacket, a perfect copy. $10,000. Here's a first edition of Alan Foster's novelization of Star Wars. That's selling for $225. Hey, I have this one. Super Fudge, Judy Blume. Let's see what it's worth. It's a first edition, Fine and a Fine Dust Jacket, $125. I'll take it, but I'm not selling it. How about a first edition of Dracula? $50,000, please. The Personal History of David Copperfield, from May 1849 to November 1850, $12,500. Blood Meridian, first edition, first issue with no remainder mark, one of the first 1,883 sold. It's signed in ink. It'll set you back $10,000. Here's a fourth folio, first issue, all 39 of Shakespeare's plays. It is selling for $180,000. To be or not to be? Sadly, not to be. At least today. Someday! It's good to have goals. This is Peter Harrington's catalog. They're from London. Really nice catalog. I love the layout. On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin, first edition, $390,000. Okay, let's talk Boy Wizard here for a second. They have the rarest of all Harry Potter proofs. It's an uncorrected proof, signed and dated by the author on the half title 3 days before publication of the first edition, is selling for $40,000. Oh, a complete set of the Pooh books, first editions, each signed by Milne and Shepard on the title pages. $65,000. What a treasure. Here's the original artwork from the House of Pooh. Good morning, Christopher Robin, he said. Are we alone? Oh, Eeyore. $125,000. The Lord of the Rings, first editions, signed on the end papers. $115,000. Let's take a moment to give it up to Peter, who came up with this extraordinary collection. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around how you transport this stuff to the armory. And I can't imagine what in the world the insurance policy must be. I mean, can you imagine how many millions, not millions, there's billions of dollars sitting under that roof. This is James Cummings. Lots of really good modern classics in here. They've got Muhammad Ali's The Greatest My Own Story, signed $3,500. Birds of America, $85,000. They have a Bible, first English Bible printed in America, $165,000. Can you imagine? Here's a copy of Huckleberry Finn and the Scarce Blue binding, $75,000. Joan Didion, A Book of Common Prayer, first edition, $7,500. It's signed and dedicated. Lord of the Flies, first edition in a fine dust jacket, $15,000. The Sun Also Rises, first edition, first issue, $225,000. First portrait of Abraham Lincoln after receiving the Republican nomination, $25,000. Why is this not in the Smithsonian? Next. This dealer has ancient books, like super old, super rare. Books dating back to, this might be the oldest, I'm not sure, 1468. This is Brommer Booksellers. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, from Boston, Massachusetts. They had a really cool display and a really cool theme. It was called Pressing Further, Voices for Justice in the Book Arts. When you learn, teach. When you get, give. As for me, I shall not be moved. I think this is another catalog that lists their books in chronological order. So it looks like their oldest book is from 1521. It's a first edition out of Scotland. Let me see if I can get it to focus. The most recent release is from 1984, the first English edition of Neuromancer. And that's priced at $10,200. Between the covers, Rare Books, African Americana is a beautiful, beautiful catalog. Look at this. Here we go. James Baldwin. A signed copy of Tell Me How Long the Train's Been Gone, $650. Giovanni's Room, a signed first edition, $2,000. Notes of a Native Son, $1,000. Go Tell It on the Mountain, $9,500. So priced similarly to that last dealer. Going to Meet the Man, $450, first edition, unsigned. Let's see what else. Booker T. Washington, an honorary member of the Plucky class, signed by Booker T. Washington, $7,500. Let's see if I can get it to focus. I don't know if this is interesting. I hope it's not boring to you, but I could look at this stuff all day. This was one of my favorite dealers that I saw, Burnside Rare Books. When you see what books they carry, you'll understand why. It's very aligned with my taste of books. So when I hit the jackpot, I'll be visiting them. Here's Winnie the Pooh, Huckleberry Finn, Lord of the Flies, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Howl, A Christmas Carol, a signed copy of Goldfinger, $25,000. Lots of Hemingway. A review copy of the first edition of We Have Always Lived in the Castle, $2,500. Metamorphosis, American edition, first printing, $2,500. Winnie the Pooh, an unbelievably superb, an unbelievably superb copy of the first American edition, signed limited issue, one of 200 copies in the large paper issue, signed by Milne and Shepard, $38,000. Yes, please. Catcher in the Rye, first edition, $15,000. First edition, first printing of Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion, $2,000. I'm on the hunt for that one, by the way. That's the only hardback I'm missing by Joan Didion. On the Road, $15,000. We have the script of West Side Story, signed by Sondheim, $8,500. Grapes of Wrath, first edition, $6,500. Mrs. Dalloway, first edition, first printing, $7,500. The Yellow Wallpaper, first edition in book form, first printing, bound in decorative paper covered boards, $15,000. Slaughterhouse 5, first edition, first printing, signed by Vonnegut, $9,500. Huckleberry Finn, first edition, first issue with errors, $25,000. Here's Gone with the Wind, first edition, first printing, with published May 1936 on the copyright page, fine in a fine first issue dust jacket. Price intact on bottom corner of front flap, $3. Now it's priced at $12,500. Doesn't this just give you hope that maybe one of these books will turn up in a thrift shop or a used bookstore and they just don't know what they have? This is another catalog that is like coffee table worthy. They did an outstanding job. I love the layout. I love the font. I mean, it's just a beautifully designed book. Wow. I didn't even know this existed. This is the original psychedelic design for the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper album. That is crazy. Check it out. It's selling for 110,000 pounds. Okay, my butt's falling asleep, so we need to wrap this up. And then this one is Little But Mighty. It is full of autographs, letters, signatures, all sorts of things. Patty. Here's a cool autograph from Allen Ginsberg, $4,500. That's a good pro tip for you. It doesn't sound like a lot of money when you go like $4,500 as opposed to $4,500, you know. Here's a photograph of Paul Verlaine looking wasted. He's got a glass of absinthe in front of him and a few sheets of paper and an inkwell on the table. $4,000. Can you even see him? He kind of blends into the wall. He's there though. And then this was the catalog for the event. It tells you all about the dealers. It tells you where they're located, where their booths are at. Here's a blueprint for the layout of the event. And then this is a really cool bookmark that I picked up. It's a reprint from 1956. The Anti-Defamation League had these printed when they were facing the very real possibility of book bannings, and they reprinted it in honor of the festival, so, or book fair, whatever you want to call it. It felt like a festival. So yeah, if you get the opportunity to go, by all means, run. It's awesome. And then Ben Kinmont, shout out to Ben Kinmont. They were handing out tote bags, so I didn't have to lug all those catalogs around all day. So yeah, I think that's everything I want to show you. I've been talking for a long time, and I think I'm done now. Bye. Hey, it's Sunday night. I just secured tickets to a book event happening in May. And if I told you what it was, you wouldn't believe me. And that's all I'm going to say for now.
Away. That's exactly
Wow. Gone. The weirdest thing about this eclipse is how quiet the neighborhood is. I've never heard it this quiet. So tonight, Simon & Schuster are celebrating their 100th anniversary, and they're throwing a big event at Town Hall right here called Author. There's going to be over 30 best-selling authors, including Fredrik Backman, Judy Blume, Ruth Ware, John Irving. I have front row seats. I don't know how much video or photos I can take, but I'm going to do my best. So come on, let's go. Good news, video is allowed.
Good evening, and welcome to Author, a Simon & Schuster Centennial celebration.
What day is that? flatterers have fashioned for us on this day of commemoration, they somehow managed to get the heavens above to mark the occasion by providing a total solar eclipse this afternoon. So they set a spectacular tone for our grand family reunion tonight.
How has your writing evolved through the years? How have you changed as a writer, or how has your process changed?
The process is the same. I enjoy it more. I don't have to force myself so much. I realize this is really the only thing of value that I do. And I used to do it because I had to do it, because comedians, if you don't create new material, you die. You have to do that to survive. So it was just something I would just force myself to do. And then after many, many years, I started to actually enjoy it. Now I really enjoy it a lot.
Hemingway's sentences were simple, filled with repetitions and odd variations, filled with an emotion which seemed to live in the space between the words. And I was no longer a bad barman. I was no longer a bad poet. I was living in a book. And that book opened up possibilities. Within 4 years, I would myself be living in Spain, as the characters in that novel do. Within a few years more, I had a typewriter and I had an idea.
The last night on our honeymoon that we had an overnight train, it was a shared train compartment. And we were in with a brother and sister from Atlanta, Georgia, and they recognized me from the TV show, and we talked all night about our shared love of books. And the next morning, the sister said, "Are you gonna go make more TV shows?" And I said, "I'm gonna write a novel." And she gave me her business card on the platform and said, "I work for Simon & Schuster. If you read that novel, if you write that novel, I would like to read it." And I thought, this is great. I've got a title. I've told my wife I'm going to do it. I've met somebody from Simon & Schuster. I just need an idea.
I was told, you cannot do this. You cannot let a young woman enjoy her sexuality.
We're all here because a young woman enjoyed this. That's why we're here.
And I live in Key West, which happens to be, even though we deny it, in the state of Florida. That book is banned in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Because a young woman enjoys her sexuality.
I am so honored to share the stage with so many illustrious authors. And I gotta share this with you. Not 15 minutes ago, Doris Kearns Goodwin showed me the way to the bathroom.
Now, I wrote this speech on the airplane from Sweden to America, which was great because of the time difference. Americans call that jet lag. I call it a procrastinator's dream. Because Sweden is 6 hours ahead of New York, so I left home Sunday evening, and when I arrived here, it was still Sunday evening. The customs official asked me where I was traveling from, and I answered, the future. So, if you hear a strange sound now, that's my agent regretting her career choices. But it's too late now, Ariel.
Simon & Schuster and I first met in 1968 when somebody came down from New York and asked my husband Milton and me to write the Washington Underground Gourmet, part of its series on cheap eats. It practically destroyed our marriage and we got very fat, but it was a start.
Writing first books is hard, writing second books is harder. I wonder, and this is probably not the place to say this either, but I wonder why the heck I do this a lot of the time. And I know why I do it. I love the work. I love storytelling. So much of the narrative of The Other Black Girl was more about who I am, or who I was, really, because I feel like I've outgrown Nella in my own way. I've had to lead conversations, I've had to speak out, especially while making the TV show, because woo, that stuff is hard. And I've had to just really lean into the craft again, and that's the most beautiful part of it all, right?
As a young writer, if you have a good editor, you develop the confidence to take risks. You know your editor will catch you if you fall.
My brother was killed by a drunk driver when he was 19, and the drunk driver was not held accountable for his murder. And so it was a court document, right, where that person was actually charged with leaving the scene of an accident. And I saw that court document when I was like 23 years old, and the complete erasure of that document, I think that set me on my path.
I guess what I have learned over the years from my imposter syndrome is not to ignore that little voice inside your head, to try to listen to it, learn from it when you can, let it make you more careful, more diligent, more exacting, but don't let it make you afraid, and never, ever let it shut you up.
I don't think you used to be able to be a leader without having read, maybe not right, but at least read enough to know about American history and your place in it and what it is you were trying to achieve. And now, you know, attention spans have shrunk so much that people believe that, you know, sound bites and clicks and, you know, videos substitute for, you know, really reading and immersing yourselves in history. And I do think there's a big danger that we're forgetting big chunks of our history and therefore missing the lessons we should be learning, because there are patterns in human nature, human life, human interactions, and the decisions that leaders are faced with. I'm teaching a course now at Columbia about, you know, crisis decision making, and it's all about how do leaders get the information they need to make decisions. And it's not just in the moment that you look, but how does that moment connect to previous times, and what do you learn from that? So I'm hoping that we can have more of an effort to try to re-educate ourselves about our own history through reading, and those able, like yourself, through writing, to make it an even richer story.
We have typewriters, if you remember what those are. And Carl's typing away in one room, I'm typing in another room, and Alice comes up to me with a big sheaf of content from the book, about 90 pages, and she said, now this 90 pages, you need to cut 2. And cutting 2 out of 90? No problem at all. And she said, no, you cut the 90 pages down to 2. A painful moment.
My recording of it has been used in over 40 motion pictures and TV shows, so you've probably heard this before, but this time you may want to follow the storyline. I was tired of my lady. We'd been together too long. Like a worn-out recording of a favorite song. So while she lay there sleeping, I read the paper in bed. And in the personal column, there was this letter I read. Goes, if you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape, then I'm the love that you look for. Write to me and escape.
Hey, it's raining today, unfortunately. So I picked up the Manning Tree Witches and started thumbing through it, and I'm on the 3rd chapter. So I know I said I was planning on only reading new releases this month, but rules are made to be broken, right? Right. Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. They're shooting another episode of Law and Order SVU in the neighborhood, so it's a little crazy around here today. I think I'm going to make an escape and go to Target and pick up some groceries, and while I'm there I'll head over to Thriftland and see if any of those books that were at the antiquarian book fair are on the shelves. Wouldn't that be wonderful to find a book that's worth I don't know, $285,000 just on the shelf of Thriftland for $1, $2. I'd be down for that. The only thing is, I don't think that I could ever part with a book like the ones that we saw in that book fair. I'd have to hang on to them forever. Oh. Say boop. Oh. Hey, it's Friday. I'm just being a lazy bum at the moment. I think I might have overdosed on books. I think I had such an incredible time at the book fair and then at the author event. Now I'm looking at my stack of books and I don't want to read a single one of them. It's the weirdest feeling. I don't know what it is. Hey everybody, happy Saturday. I am busy editing the video you are watching right now. How weird is that? I thought we would take a moment to just talk about the books I've been reading this week. I unexpectedly picked up a copy of A.K. Blakemore's debut novel, The Manningtree Witches. A.K. Blakemore is the author that wrote what has been my favorite book of the year so far, The Glutton. Methinks I am bewitched, because I can't get through a single page without falling asleep. I mean, I get about halfway through the page and then I'm like, your eyes are closed. Your eyes are closed. Open your eyes. And it's not because I'm bored. I want to read the book. But I just, for whatever reason, I doze off. It is kind of incredible how different the book is from The Glutton, both in its language, the writing style, everything. It's not a bad book. I just can't seem to stay conscious. And when things start going in this direction, I do what I always do, and I picked up another book and started reading it at the same time, and that was Tommy Orange's Wandering Stars, which is excellent. It's a generational story. It tackles addiction, gun violence, assimilation, all kinds of things. Like, there's a lot of material to really sink your teeth into. I'm enjoying it. I just started part 2. There's a chapter in the book, chapter 12, called Victory, that could easily stand alone as a chapbook. I mean, it was very reminiscent to me of the Between the World and Me, is that the name of it? The Coates book. Very, very, very powerful work. Tommy Orange is a wonderful author. If you haven't read There, make sure you read that before reading Wandering Star, because there is a connection between the two. Wandering Stars is definitely saving the week, because I do think that I was in a bit of a slump. I think it was coming off of Michael Cunningham's novel Day, which was, in my opinion, a total snooze fest. Very dull book. And then going to those 2 incredible book events back to back and meeting some of my favorite people in the world, Patti Smith and Judy Blume. I just looked at my books and I was like, yeah, not right now. I just didn't feel motivated to read much this week. It was also very rainy. My sinuses were a nightmare. So today's kind of been the first day of the week where I've really felt motivated to read, and I think that's in large part to taking on a new book. And Tommy Orange, again, he's just so talented. If you haven't read his books, be sure to check them out. Well, judging by Ace's snoring, I think maybe this is a good place to stop. Oh, look who just came too. Hey, dude, you want to go outside? You want to go outside? I think this is probably a good place to stop the video. I will just say please and thank you. Feed that algorithm. Do all of the things, you know, that need to be done. Things have slowed down a bit. Not gonna lie, things have slowed down a bit at the Rumpus. I would love to see things pick back up, so do whatever you can. I appreciate everyone watching and anyone who makes a comment and tells me what they're up to. And yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. Happy reading. And we'll talk soon. Yeah? What do you say? Say bye. Say bye. Bye.